My name's Diane Savory. I was, as some of you know, Chief Operating Officer of Supergroup PLC, and I'm now Chair of Gloucestershire Local Enterprise Partnership. And I've been asked here today to share some of my 20-year journey of growing the business in Gloucestershire from a small medium enterprise, effectively a start-up, to a PLC. Some of you have heard the story before, but it's mostly true. We really did start off in a market stall in the Regent's Arcade, really where TK Maxx is now, many, many years ago. That went on to be our first shop in Cheltenham, Oxford, Birmingham, Cambridge. And we learnt our first lesson at this point, and that was know your customer. At Cult Clothing, we did. They were university students aged 18 to 25, and they, at that time, which was about 20 years ago, had plenty of disposable income with their student loans. So we decided university towns were going to be where we pitched ourselves. We rolled our stores out organically and with that demographic as a map. Lesson 2, marketing. We didn't do any. Our reputation was all word of mouth. Our Cult Clothing stores, as we were then, were located in off-pitch tertiary sites. People came to find us, and it was all part of the kudos and cool of Cult Clothing. We sold original and funky product that differentiated us from the rest of the high street. Marketing for us was counting the number of Cult carrier bags in good spots on a Saturday afternoon. Lesson 3. Know your competition and how to outdo it. Some of you might remember a huge brand a few years back called Bench. It was a big brand of Cult Clothing at the time, and it was not our own, and we were hugely dependent on it. It suddenly became not so cool. What were we going to do? We thought, we'll design a few t-shirts of our own, and those few t-shirts became named Superdry. Why did they become named Superdry? Lots of people ask me about the Japanese influence and how they made in Japan and all such sorts of things. And the story is, and it's a true story, that Julian, the entrepreneur, and James, the designer, went on a mission to Japan to look for inspiration. They stepped off the aeroplane, and what were they faced with? A hoarding, Asahi beer, Superdry. So Superdry was the name, and hence the Japanese hieroglyphics on some of our t-shirts even to this day. It's also the reason why we're not allowed to sell t-shirts in Japan. Those t-shirts became hoodies. It is a menswear range. We sold it in our Cult Clothing stores. It replaced the Bench brand really happily. Menswear became girls' wear. That became a range, and suddenly we were dependent on our own brand, which was great. The brand was so strong, we opened our first standalone Superdry store in Covent Garden. The Superdry brand went into concessions in House of Fraser. The range was wholesaled, franchised. It sold in Europe, America, Australia, and before too long became truly global. Throughout this time, we kept our principles of know your customer, know your competition. Lesson 4. Believe and invest in your people. Supergroup was hugely entrepreneurial and still is. Its ethos and culture have been a huge, huge part of its success. People were nurtured and looked after and helped to grow and flourish with the business. Lesson 5, and perhaps the most important one for me, is passion and commitment. If you see a hurdle, jump it. I'm making all this sound easy. There were huge hiccups along the way, as there are in any business. Good days, bad days, lows and highs of emotion, anger and frustration. But we always found our way through it because of our passion. Our passion for fashion, for retail, our product, our brand, and our business. So we got to a certain size and thought, what next? Well, why don't we float on the London Stock Exchange? I say it did, a decision at the time. And that we did in March 2010. And it was the most successful float of that year in Europe, ladies and gentlemen. It was also one of the most intense procedures I've ever done in my life. 24/7. Due diligence. Accountants, lawyers, investment bankers, and that was all in addition to the day job. But the passion and the desire to succeed was what always got me through. The business took on another change and leap in its growth at that point after flotation. We had new challenges, a different set of challenges. Analysts, shareholders, corporate governance, non-exec directors. And so, 20 years on, back to lesson 1, know your customer. Where is Supergroup today? Superdry customers are growing with the Superdry brand. 18 to 25-year-old is now 18 to 45-year-old plus. They still want to look cool and individual. Marketing, lesson 2. Someone's sniggering. Lesson 2, marketing, now a much more structured affair with concentrated PR, not just to the customer but to the analysts and stock market. And it is true, David Beckham really did wear our t-shirt of his own free will. Lesson 3, know your competition. There's plenty of it out there, and indeed many people now are trying to emulate the Superdry brand. So brand management is now a key factor in running a business. And protecting the brand, and there are lawyers amongst us I know, is key with intellectual property. Lesson 4, believe in your people. The business still thrives on its creative spirit, although external expertise is now brought in when required. Supergroup now employs hundreds of people in Gloucestershire and across the UK. Lesson 5, that important one for me, passion and commitment. That still remains intact, and I hope always will. Supergroup now turns over in excess of £300 million per year, as opposed to the £500,000 it turned over in year 1. In its infancy. It now has profits in excess of 40 million. I have to be careful here because of analysts who always want to hear 50 or 60 million, and is a truly global brand and business. I'm hugely proud of having been instrumental in this journey, giving birth to this brand and this business. I've seen it through adolescence and indeed into young maturity. Supergroup is now another journey, one without me, and that is into adulthood, a journey which I still keep close to as a shareholder and as a parent of something very, very special. When I decided to step down, other challenges were ahead, and after 22 years of growing business, I felt it was time for a change. One of which was being invited to chair the Gloucestershire Local Enterprise Partnership, and I thought I'd just tell you a little bit about what that's all about with David Owen, who's CEO of GFirst, and how it's a continuation of my passion for business, for people, for education, and for growing a great business in Gloucestershire.
So some of you are probably wondering what on earth a local enterprise partnership is. Coalition government came in, they decided that a regional structure splitting the UK into 9 regions didn't work in terms of economic growth. And it didn't work partly because it was the public sector in control of it. So what the coalition said was, let's put business right at the heart and in control of economic growth, and let's make it a local approach to growth, and that's exactly what local enterprise partnerships are. So there are 39 of them across England, of which Gloucestershire is one, and we deliberately went out and chose people like Diane, with her entrepreneurial experience, with her fantastic experience right across the breadth of size and scale of business, to come and lead economic growth in Gloucestershire as part of a board which is dominated by the private sector driving growth. So very much the government's tool, although not controlled by government, the government's tool to lead the country back into a position of economic growth and economic stability in the longer term. How are we structured? This looks more complicated than it's less complicated than it appears. Sorry, it's not more complicated than it appears. But at the very heart of what we do are real business people in our sector groups. Our sector groups that you can see in the centre of the diagram there cover over 75% of employment in Gloucestershire and around about 85% of GVA in the county. and they are genuinely made up of people from right across the geography of the county, but also the type of business within each of those sector groups. They're real business people running real businesses, growing their businesses, doing their best to make their businesses succeed.
You'll also notice that retail features heavily in there as a sector. We also uniquely brought 60 membership groups together, the likes of the IOD, the CBI, the Federation of Small Businesses and the local chambers. It's something that no other local enterprise partnership has done in the country. And they're all about focused on exporting and procurement locally, sourcing local procurement in order to stimulate local growth.
And all of that's overseen by a business advisory group, which is the chairs of the sector groups plus the chair of the business membership group. And they keep the board on their toes. They let us as a board know whether we're doing the right thing, whether the LEP is moving in the right direction, and the means by which the board can understand the breadth of the Gloucestershire economy and its complexity. And importantly as well, in the top left-hand side, the connection into the public sector. Because you all know, for your businesses, the public sector can play an important role in either making them work or not making them work. So that connection into what's called Leadership Gloucestershire, which is all of the local authorities, the NHS and the police, is there at a board level as well for the LEP.
And just to interrupt for a moment, for me this is all about joining things up. As a business person, I always used to get hugely frustrated with seeing what I would call then quangos of actually small groups of people trying to do something good but never connecting. And I'm really hopeful that with our Gloucestershire LEP that we can start building some relations.
And the priorities, you see the box at the bottom there, what the LEP is all about is those 4 priorities. So promotion, telling the world what a great place Gloucestershire is to live, invest, work or visit. Skills, making sure that all of our businesses have the right next generation of talent coming through, but also that our current employees are equipped with the right skills and knowledge to do their jobs. Promote investment. So how do we make sure that the right backdrop is there for businesses to be able to invest in Gloucestershire, both from outside of the county, but also people like yourselves that are here already? What's the right environment that you want to be able to invest in your businesses? And connection, making sure the right physical infrastructure is there as well as the right virtual infrastructure. So roads, rail, public transport, but also really importantly, broadband access and access to the global markets through virtual connectivity.
Okay.
It is.
One of our tasks is to tell the Gloucestershire story, which is one of innovation, enterprise and growing great business, not just super group. So we thought we'd tell a very quick quiz and it's not arduous. David, I think this is one for you.
Yeah, right. Who knows the relevance of that picture to Gloucestershire?
Oh, someone.
Well, only one person?
This is Dursley.
A few. No, it's not listed as Dursley. Who? You put your hand up first, Barry.
I don't know the name of the person, but I gather that the lawnmower was invented in Stroud.
Correct. You don't get the prize though because you didn't know the name.
No,
Said,
no.
Sorry.
You get half.
If you get the year, you get a mark. It was 1827, and really it's part of our story of innovation in Gloucestershire, really, and part of telling that story to make sure that people know this is a great innovative county, always has been. So when you're mowing your lawn next summer, I'm really hoping we don't have to mow it again. When you're mowing it next summer, it's Edward's fault, and it's the fault of the Gloucestershire economy being so innovative.
Okay, name this person. There was a bit of a clue. Yes, absolutely right. He was the inventor of the jet engine, and of course that was first made in Gloucestershire. Knowing the relevance, anyone know the relevance of this piece of equipment? It looks very exciting, doesn't it? It's actually landing gear made by Messier Bugatti Doughty at Staverton. And every 2.5 seconds, a piece of their landing gear is landing somewhere in the world.
Anyone know the relevance of if the clicker works? There we are. Anyone know the relevance of that to the county? Yeah, you could get a second point here.
Stroud cloth for the tables made by
It was Milliken. They recently had a management buyout. It's now called WSP, but they make the green bays. They make other coloured bases as well for snooker and pool tables that go right across the world. They're the high quality maker and renowned globally for that. They also make the yellow fluffy stuff that goes on tennis balls for Dunlop and Slazenger and people like that as well. And all of that's made in Gloucestershire.
Can I just, that's it, sorry. The legs as well, which are made for the snooker tables, by a company in Gloucester, Something Choice. It's work for them.
We'll use that next time.
Right.
Well done. But extra bonus point for you for that one. Anyone heard of Snow Business? Anyone know what they do? I mean, if you see snow in a movie or on TV, it's almost certain that Snow Business have produced the special effects for that. They work with all the major Hollywood studios and all of the major global TV companies as well. So next time you see snow on telly and it's not on the news, then it's probably Snow Business that will put the effects in place.
Of course, that's GCHQ and donut, no prices for that one. 6,000 knowledge workers demonstrating the quality of our economy there. And if the next slide is working,
There we are.
I didn't guess what that is, but it is actually the Wimbledon Bridge. Now that wouldn't open or close without hydraulics that make them move in Tewkesbury.
And Lucozade, of course, is only made in the Forest of Dean now, as well as Ribena. 85% of the UK's Ribena is made in the Forest of Dean by GlaxoSmithKline. And we haven't even talked about some of those other brands, either Gloucester Rugby or Cheltenham Racecourse, which goes global, or ice creams at what was once the biggest ice cream factory in Western Europe, made by Unilever under the Walls brand in Gloucester as well.
Okay. It's also important that we celebrate what business have achieved in the LEP this year. This is something we are quite proud of. This LEP in Gloucester has only been going for a year, so we've done quite a lot for Gloucestershire. First of all, £22.5 million worth of investments have been secured for broadband in order first, or hopefully to have 100% connection across Gloucestershire in 2016, meaning that all of our businesses will be well connected to the global market.
Could I ask a question? What percentage is it currently? Do you know?
David, one for you.
It's less than 100%. It's made in big parts of the county. Seriously, it's absolutely zero next generation access. The only next generation access is in some very small pockets. Gloucester and Cheltenham have very good access, although some of you will disagree with that because you'll be at the end of the line. 46% next generation. There we are. 54% to go. But in the rural parts of the county, there's zero coverage for huge swathes. Quite significant parts of the county.
Something I'm particularly proud of there, Retail Pathfinder, what that really means is that we've put our name forward as particularly my expertise and other members of my board who have retail specialism in central government, and we've now been appointed as the local enterprise partnership in the country that will have a retail focus in order to try and resurrect our high streets and do something different with them, which I'm very confident we can do, which sounds like a major task, please.
And that's going to be better for all of us because the work we're doing with some national brands we will bring straight back into Gloucestershire to improve the retail offer in Gloucestershire, as well as looking at other places in the UK where that improvement can take place. £40 million of rail. Anyone that travels on the line that goes into London, that goes via Swindon to Kemble, you probably stood on the station at Swindon at some point, cursing the fact that you missed the train that went straight through. That £40 million, that scheme's now started to redual that line, which will mean for all of us that it'll be a lot quicker and a lot more efficient to get in and out of London from Gloucestershire. Which, of course, London, we have to accept, is still very much the centre of commerce for the UK and for most of Europe as well. So that speed is really important to all of our businesses. And we've secured £8.5 million, which we are looking at the moment to invest in schemes that will unlock development potential in the county. Now, what that means in reality is that we're looking at a number of schemes where jobs and businesses will be created with some investment in the infrastructure. And we should be able to announce before Christmas where the first of those investments will go, which will give a real boost to the economy in terms of job creation as well as business creation.
Tourism is hugely important for our county, so £4 million worth of coverage globally for Cotswold tourism from the GFirst team is fantastic. which is increasing the number of overseas visitors that spend money here. 500 jobs have also been created this year from new inward investment, new business, keeping unemployment in Gloucestershire relatively low. We are way below the national average, aren't we? Yeah.
And 162 businesses, micro businesses in the Forest of Dean have been supported by GFirst in the last 12 months. That's really giving those businesses the start-up really to get them through their difficult first stages of growth, so that they become the next generation of super groups, the next generation of big businesses that operate in the county. And a couple of members of the team here have been responsible for helping 1,500 individuals that have been unemployed in the last 12 months get back into employment, get back onto the train of being in employment and having some real value in their lives, which clearly for all of us has to be a good thing. And it's a big reason why unemployment in Gloucestershire is so significantly below the national average.
GFirst is also supporting the next generation by helping 200 school pupils and also 140 businesses by taking on apprentices. This makes sure that the quality of our next generation of talent in Gloucestershire is guaranteed. We've just put this in as a last minute piece. We run an ambassador scheme at GFirst and the Local Enterprise Partnership. It's about being a voice for Gloucestershire wherever you go and saying how fantastic we are as a place to live, work and play. And do you want to say?
With lots of those achievements on the last page, none of those were Diane and I doing it on our own, or even the team within GFirst doing it on our own. It was actually because we engaged people like yourselves in ambassadors or through ambassadors in delivering some of those things. And the Ambassadors Programme is a way in which you can give something back to the county's economy, but also a way in which you can network with other individuals and, importantly, make sure that the county's economy is strong so that your businesses can be strong here. We've had some fantastic stuff that's happened in the last 12 months for our ambassadors, and next Thursday at the Business Awards we'll be giving out the first Gloucestershire Ambassador of the Year award, and we'll be rejuvenating and kicking off with some really clear guidance for you and others as ambassadors at a big event at the end of November, early December, which we would be delighted if you would all come to or try and get to. Our events are generally a bit full, like this room today, but also we'd be delighted if you'd go and sign up and become an ambassador and see what you can do to help the county's economy continue to grow.
And I think what we all recognise is that growing a business in this difficult environment is difficult, so we're all trying to pull together and help each other at the end of the day. And that's about it. So if anyone's got any questions, we're happy.
As long as they're not tough ones about broadband coverage, really.
Yes.
I'm a business coach and we work with Growth Accelerator, which is, of course, getting businesses to become gazelles, if you will, and grow over the next 3 years. Is this anything that you guys have anything to do with?
The Gazelle programme run by Gloucestershire College, I assume, which is that the one?
The Growth Accelerator, led by Vince Cable, where the funding is coming from the Business Innovation and Skills. We're coordinating with Oxford Innovation for the Gloucestershire side of things, which is where we're covering, so to help businesses grow with that grant available.
We've been working with the Growth Accelerator team to identify what the priorities should be for Gloucestershire. And part of our role with a scheme like that, which is government funded, is to make sure that Gloucestershire gets its fair share, because generally those schemes are over a wider geography than the county. So we're there haranguing the deliverers of the schemes and making sure that Gloucestershire gets its fair share and that business people get the support and advice that they're due from what a national scheme is.
We want to make sure everyone knows about it so they have the ability to apply for it.
Anybody else?
Yeah, sounds great, but how do we benefit from it and get the benefits? What can we get as businesses? Because I've heard about it, but I've never seen anything offered to me to help grow my business.
I'm afraid there is no, the whole agenda at the moment from the central government is there is no money in terms of business things, which was never anything to do with us any other way. So we're all kind of fighting for our rights in times of adversity in many ways, and to me this is about goodwill. And about
that.
Well, there should be some. I think there is, but maybe not in your business. But what I'm feeling as I go around the county, generally speaking, is there is some goodwill left.
I think the move that we've seen, regional development agencies had oodles of money that they would throw at any kind of problem and see that as a solution. And that works sometimes, but sometimes it didn't work at all. Writing a cheque doesn't necessarily solve underlying problems in the economy. Because of the austerity measures that the government have put in place, there isn't that money around now. So unless we collectively as the Gloucestershire economy say, not what can you do for us, you're the LEP, actually what can we all do collectively to improve our economy, how can we support each other, how can we get involved in some of the activities, how can we as business people start to go into schools and educate young people about what their ambitions should be, what good career choices are as one
And I think
example.
there's also a piece around the education piece, around businesses telling our educators, that's the university and further ed colleges, exactly what they need from them. This isn't just about them delivering courses and saying, come and join the party. We've got to engage with them, which we are doing now, to try and actually do more bespoke stuff for Gloucestershire, and therefore, keep our talent here rather than disappearing off somewhere, which feels much more exciting.
But that's not to say, for example, that £22.5 million on broadband,
So
I mean, that should have a massive impact, potentially, as long as we, as business people, use that access. That should have a massive impact on every business. It opens up a whole new market for many people.
Hi, with the businesses that you helped, who picked those businesses? How did that happen? The ones in the Forest of Dean? Is it?
We haven't helped any business specific.
You mean the micro businesses?
Yeah.
That's part of the scheme.
We run a programme called Forest Means Business through some local funding in the Forest of Dean, which went out to the market in the Forest of Dean and said, can we get some help if you want some help? And so they were
And are they planning to do that
self-identified.
in, say, Cheltenham or?
Not unless someone comes up with the funding to do it.
Okay.
There was a specific pot of funding in the Forest of Dean which paid for a whole host of different things to happen there, and that Forest Means Business was one of those.
Hello. I work for a charity, we're based in Cheltenham, and we're currently looking at opening some charity shops in the local area. Is this the kind of thing that I could talk to you about and the feasibility of doing some research on it at the moment?
There is, we have a retail sector group, i.e. a group of local retailers based across the county, which Noel Jobson used to work with me at Supergroup. I'm sure he wouldn't mind you fielding in a question to that group and seeing whether there could be any thoughts.
Hello. The ambassador scheme, I think, is a really good idea. Quite an early adopter of that. But I have found that the support that we've been getting from GFirst in relation to how to market ourselves as ambassadors has been a little bit lacking. Are there any upcoming changes? You mentioned, I think, an ambassador meeting soon to be
I think we hold our hands up and say we recognise that, and we were going to be doing an awful lot more to really engage the people that have already signed up, but actually get new people as well. But it's very much the focus of GFirst at the moment to make sure that you have a set of guidelines really effectively, but also the event in November should very much bring that on together. Yeah.
And how do you sign up?
You can visit the website, which is www.gl-am.com. Or you can give us your card and we'll get someone to call.
Okay, thank you.
Rather than
Find a bonus point for anyone that remembers the website.
Any more? Shall I say if anyone's got any more questions that they ask Diane and David afterwards? That's okay, yeah? Thank you. I'd just like to say thank you very much. And hopefully there might be someone in this room who in 20 years' time is running a business with the turnover that Diane helped achieve at Supergroup. And also, like Dave, I'm an ambassador and there's quite a few people here who are Gloucestershire ambassadors. And I would encourage people to sign up because it's a good opportunity with some good networking events, and it feels like you're part of the whole team putting into everything we've talked about in your own way. So thank you very much.